Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing The Return of Captain Mysterio, which of course is one of the Christmas specials from the Capaldi era. And I believe this was the special that came after the special The Husbands of River Song, because this was 2016. We had a gap year. I hate the gap years. I really think those gap years when we didn't have Doctor Who is part of what led to the series declining in popularity. Just having to go a whole season without Doctor Who, I think that really hurt it. To go a whole year without it really hurt it. So we had 2015's Christmas special, which is The Husbands of River Song, and this takes place right after, or I won't say right after it, but this is the next special we got, Christmas of 2016. And I'd only watched it the one time when it originally aired. I wasn't overly impressed by it, but I only half remembered it. I really didn't remember a lot of it, actually, because I was only half paying attention to it. Because December of 2016, I was still fairly active dating, and I was texting with someone. I'm not exactly sure who. I'm not sure if it was... Usually I can remember who. So it was either someone I was probably only dating briefly, or just someone I was cuddle buddies with. I'm not sure. But if it's Doctor Who taking up that much, if it's taking that much of my attention away from Doctor Who, I know I was texting with some girl or another. Because I didn't remember a lot of the episode until I was watching it. I really only remembered bits and pieces. Which, don't get me wrong, I don't have the best memory in the world to begin with. But with modern Who being only one episode being shorter, I usually retain more than like some of the longer classic Who's where I basically just remember the cliff notes. This one, I really just remember the cliff notes. So it was almost like watching it for the first time. Like maybe I'd just seen a clip show of it before. It was almost like that going in. I liked it a lot better than I remembered it being. Matter of fact, my biggest gripe was the ghost when he's in costume, because his costume looks cheap and ridiculous and budgeted, and it just looks like something you see somebody wearing at a con who's doing an original costume, you know. That's what it looks like. And then, of course, the actor who's doing his Batman voice, which it could be on purpose. It could just, not only is it, you know, taking a swing at the superhero genre, which was hugely popular at the time, but it's almost kind of poking fun at it. So he's kind of doing his Batman voice. He really is kind of, the ghost is kind of like if you took Superman and Batman and mashed them together. What you would have, and it's really weird. He's kind of the weakest part. The actor playing him is fine, especially when he's in his normal guise. You know, when he's Grant, he's fine. It's just him having to kind of ham it up as the superhero doesn't quite work for me. The actors are all fine, though. I think all of the actors are doing a really good job. The two main villains of the story. The guy who used to be a doctor, and then the other guy who was higher up on the in the company that we see get, you know, locked in the room, and then he gets taken over. Both of those actors are doing a really good job playing their parts. They both come across as creepy and sinister, and they're doing really good. The girl that's the journalist, that's kind of the lowest lane of the story, she's good. I like them kind of throwing a child into the mix, so he has a job as a nanny. Capaldi, of course, is on fire in this. It's just such a good reminder of how Capaldi is easily one of the best actors to have ever played the Doctor, possibly the best actor to have ever played the Doctor. He's so good here. It's just every little thing he does. And there's actually a lot of humor in this. You know, it's interesting because the 12th Doctor, especially later in his run, is a humorous Doctor. He's not humorous in the way Tom Baker is humorous, or the way maybe Tennant is humorous, or Troughton is humorous. He's a very serious humorist, if that makes sense. He has a more sterner humor. But like, I love when, you know, the reporters listening to the conversation going on inside the safe room with all the brains, and then you hear somebody crunching on something, and there's the Doctor like eating the sushi or whatever. He's like, "Oh, it's all right. I'm not supposed to be in here either, just like you. I brought snacks." You know, the way Capaldi sells that. There were several moments in there, like, I can't think of all of them, I wish I could, where he says little humorous bits, but it's in this kind of understated way that I really like. And then I have to mentally remember that he's still grieving for River. I had to get myself into gear that this is the story after Husbands of River Song. And so he's still kind of grieving over losing River and getting over that. And so he does like a lot of people do when a relationship doesn't work out, you know, whether it's a breakup or a loss or whatever, you know, they throw themselves into their work. They throw themselves into other aspects of their life, like 110%, 150%. His job is saving planets like the Earth. So he's fully throwing himself into that. And there's several times he mentions, you know, that's all right, the Earth's got a protector, me, stuff like that. Like when he's first confronting the aliens, giving them a chance to leave, he's like, do you know how many times this world's tried to, you know, how many times it's been invaded? Countless. Yeah, they've always lost. They've always been sent packing. You know why? Me. I forget exactly what he says, but that's the basic gist of it. And he does that later, like when he's on the ship and he's like, you know, humans don't have a plan. Oh, they have a plan. Me. I'm the plan. And then when at the end, when, you know, Grant's talking about retiring the ghost persona, the doctor's like, well, that's all right. You know, you focus on being happy. Let me handle this. You know, I'm here. I'll take care of things. You know, he's very much thrown himself full into Defender of Earth mode, saving the planet. You know, it's kind of a way to perhaps avoid the emotions, or that's just his way of dealing with the emotions. I also have to remind myself this is the first episode where Nardle's been rebuilt. And I like Matt Lucas. He's so good in that role. So I'm having to mentally shift gears back to, you know, Series 10 hasn't happened yet. So this is the first time Nardle's really traveling with him. Although you get the impression they've been together for a while, the way they talk. But Capaldi's always putting in a good performance. When he's serious, when he's humorous. I love his speech at the end about everything ends and it's always sad. But everything begins again, too, and that's always happy. That's a beautiful speech. It's another one of those moments where Capaldi has those beautiful speeches. And before I rewatched it, I was going to make a note of this as another example of Capaldi having a great speech in a bad episode. But I don't think it's a bad episode. It's not one I would want to rewatch a lot. Again, the superhero stuff's kind of... Doctor Who does superheroes. But it's not a bad episode. It's fine. And it has some really good moments in it with some really good performances in it. Of course, this one's longer than the standard episodes. What, about 60 minutes? The flashbacks to the Doctor with Grant as a kid is kind of funny. How he's just hanging, swinging there, trying not to fall. Can you let me in? I got to go ask my mom. And the Doctor's just like, huh. And he's having to use the sonic to open the window. I do love the fact that his sonic screwdriver he has at this point has a blue setting and a green setting. I do. Like it's mixing the Tennant one with the Smith one. I like that. I do enjoy that a lot. I like the idea of the Sonic having different colors depending on what it's doing. Like red means this, yellow means this, green means this, blue means this. If I was ever the Doctor, that's how I would want my screwdriver to work. I would want it to have a different color depending on what you're using it for. I like that. I enjoy how it talks about how like the glass on the buildings is, you know, strong enough to withstand a nuclear blast, and that how that comes into play later with the Doctor being on the ship. And I love how excited he is. Just, you're right, I don't have a plan, so I'll just do all this. He's very much, it's weird because like early Capaldi, sometimes he didn't really feel like the Doctor to me, but by this point, and it's probably right around here, Husbands of River Song, and here where he really starts feeling like the Doctor. He reminds me a lot of Pertwee's Doctor. Series 10 Capaldi is very much the closest I've ever seen to Pertwee's Doctor, and I love Pertwee's Doctor. If Capaldi was more like that through all of his run, he would be much higher on my list because he does fall kind of in the middle of my Doctor's list. But I love his later run, just the way he's developed the character and the way the character himself has developed. I absolutely love. Yeah, it's got some really nice camera angles, some nice camera work. It has a kind of cinematic feel to it, especially early on, kind of like it's doing like a superhero movie. Of course, you start out with that nice comic book spread, but then how the camera's panning in and moving around, it feels like a cinematic movie at times. And I don't know whether that was just because it's a Christmas special or because they were doing that as a nod to superhero stuff. And then the scenes when the guy can like open up his head and pull the gun out, that's a pretty cool effect. The effects look really good in this episode, aside from ghost looking. It's enjoyable. Again, definitely not essential Doctor Who. But if you're a Capaldi fan, of course you want to watch it, because Capaldi's great in it. Capaldi is just phenomenal in this episode. He's the best part of the episode. But I liked it. It was a good rewatch. I appreciate it more than I used to, because I wasn't impressed with it the first time I watched it, but again, I was only half paying attention to it. So now that I was able to really focus on it, I liked it. I was trying to think if there's anything else that really stood out, but I think that basically covers everything. So, the return of Captain Mysterio. What do you think of it? Comment down below and let me know. Other things to do. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon that helps me keep the bills paid. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. Also had a new patron, Zach, joined recently. I appreciate that, Zach. There is a link to that down in the description below. My entry level tier is only $2 a month. I also have started a new channel recently called Geek Speak Euphoria, where I'll be talking about other pop culture stuff besides just sci-fi stuff. I'm planning to do 2 or 3 videos a week on that, not as many as I do here. But if you want to hear me talk about superheroes, video games, and other stuff like that, that's what that channel will be for. Again, it's called Geek Speak Euphoria. And of course, I also have a P.O. box down there if you want to send me anything to look at and review, and a link to my Amazon wish list is down there as well. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.